but I got to the point, like, I never went in the locker room, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, that makes me uneasy. I know that
Yeah.
would probably make you uneasy, and that's not a situation I want to put you or me in.
Hey, thanks so much for watching this second part of the interview, and I hope you enjoy it. Remember, like, comment, subscribe.
Like, this is the how bad do you want it? Prove to yourself that you can do this, and you're there.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's an important part of this whole transsexual space, and that people need to see. And I agree with you. We struggle to get here, and it does mean a lot to us when we make it to these passing points where now we pass that. I mean, don't you feel? So for me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel it's the ultimate goal for me. I made it to that next level that I desired enough to get bullied by the world on some level, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, I would say just my internal happiness is probably the prime goal, but I know for me, passing is a large part of getting there, at least for me
Yeah,
personally.
me too.
For me,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I take a lot of pride in my look, my appearance, and just kind of what I was able to construct. And
Yeah.
that was through, my hormone therapy and staying up to date with that,
Mm.
busting my ass in the gym, like just literally just building this for myself.
Yep. Yeah, for yourself. That beautiful. Thank you, friend. And that's the thing. These are our own journeys. We're not all the
Hmm.
same in this community. I'm getting so fed up with this idea that there's a certain way to be. And then they turn around and say there isn't a certain way to be. Well, you people are not. Some people don't want to pass, maybe, and that's perfectly okay. But that's why I
Hmm.
distinguish for myself the difference between a transsexual person and transgender. I do think there's a difference. I don't know how do you identify yourself?
Um, it's a very good question. Um, the term transsexual is very new to me. I will be
Hmm.
quite honest with you on that.
Great. Hmm.
Um, but I would say I tend to fall in that line with you.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
So
just
so
I don't
is this
know. I
old school?
think right,
Yeah.
right. Like
Yeah.
I think of the old I'm gonna call it the old trans movement,
That's
where
right.
the goal was just to fit into society,
That's right.
as the gender that you wish to be seen as, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, so I get it, and you could call yourself whatever you want. Obviously, the only reason I took back the term transsexual is because I don't relate to what's happening with this idea that anyone can be trans and you don't need a diagnosis and all. And I'm like, no. And also, I want to look like a man. I don't want to look trans or identify as trans. I actually want everything to say male on it. And when I walk somewhere, someone sees a man, they don't
Hmm.
see a trans. That's really was my ultimate goal. And I think that's why
Yeah.
separating from this new idea of identity, right? Identity, trans has become an identity, which is, I have mixed feelings about that. But how is the relationship with you and your daughter?
Um, it's good. It's good. It's had its stages, but it's good.
Okay.
When I started my transition, she was 2,
Oh,
and that was another kind of like we need to do this now thing. Was I wanted to do it when she was still young enough
that's right.
that this was what she would know, and not be
Mhm.
like when she's 7, 8 years old, or heaven forbid, 12, 13, 14, 15, be like,
Yeah.
hey, so this is happening. Like, my goal is, if I was going to
Yeah.
do it, we're going to do it early.
Smart. That's actually smart because kids at 2 and 3, I don't think
Hmm.
they remember so much. At 10 and 12 and 30, they see and know everything. So that says
Yeah.
also a lot about you and caring about the people around you and
Yeah.
understanding that transition does affect our whole families. It affects everyone around us. It affects our relationships with every single person. I lost so many friends when I transitioned back in the day. They hated me, and it was
I
so
can't imagine.
insane, the crap I took from people. But I do understand why. People didn't understand it 30 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I think now people kind of more do. So I wanted to sort of move into now this newer sort of idea of trans, and that trans women are women. I'm wondering, we never had this conversation, but I'm wondering how you feel about that whole kind of space representing you, or kind of that.
Hmm. So I mean, where it comes to that, like there's a fine line between medical transition and biology. Like that's where I'm at. Like I don't know. I look how I look, I sound how I sound, but at the end of the day, if I one big thing about my medical past is I've had more joint dislocations than I know what to do
Wow.
with. And every time I go
Wow.
into the ER to, get those joints
Mm.
reset, they have to knock me completely out. And I make sure to tell them before they do so, hey, before you knock me out, give me the dosage that you would give a biological male, because that's what I am. If you gave me the dosage for a biological woman, guess what? It's not going to work. It's
Right.
not going to be enough. I'm going to wake up mid, putting these joints back in place.
Right.
So, I mean, that's you always I've heard you say plenty of times, um there's nothing wrong with accepting biology, and that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Thank you. It's real simple. I mean, I don't understand why there's this newer idea of denying our biology. It's the whole point of our transition. If
Mhm.
biology wasn't part of the equation, then we're just not trans people. And also, you're medical. You just said
Mhm.
it right there. If you're going to go in and not be honest, if I go in somewhere and I'm not honest about when they have to take my pants down, everyone's going to flip out and not understand what's happening. And then we're all going to be in a bad situation. It's like, what's happening here? We're all lost. And like, no, just basically, I'm a
Yeah.
biological female. This is what you're going to see. This is what's going to happen. Let's just move
Yeah.
forward with that situation. I find it to be quite dangerous when we don't acknowledge where we come
I
from.
mean, yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I mean, yeah, I mean, it sets, especially like when it incorporates the medical side of it. Like if you're not
That's right.
upfront and honest about everything and expect a doctor to read every single thing on a chart, that's a dangerous game, my friend.
My God, it doesn't make sense, actually. And I'm not saying walk down the street and tell everybody that you're a biological male. That's not
Mhm.
what I'm saying. Or I think
Mhm.
you're not saying either. We have to, there's certain times, which are very rare, to be honest. You could go in the women's room. No one would even wouldn't even
Mhm.
think twice about it. That's the whole point. That's why I think those bathroom arguments are so dumb. Because no, I'm going to use the men's room and you're going to use the women's room. And that's it. No one's going to say anything about us,
Yeah.
but they're using it in this really weird kind of political way that says, like, trans women are women. Okay, yeah, you look like a woman, I hope, and you want to be a woman. I see that. And if you make the effort, I also see that too. But there's this
Yeah.
really, I don't, I hope I don't sound disrespectful to you, but there is this, and it's
No.
not you. I think within the movement, there seems to be a lot of misogyny around women, is what I see.
I I mean, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. It's a lot of trying to find the right words here, but
Hmm.
when it comes to that, there's a lot of trans women who, just expect to immediately be accepted into women's spaces just
Yeah.
because they feel like they should be,
Yeah.
when that's something you honestly need to earn.
Thank you.
Like going, like you mentioned the restrooms. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal to me because I feel like I put in the effort to earn my keep there. As far as like locker rooms go, that's where it gets a little dicey. I actually changed
Sure.
gyms just because they have individual locker rooms, so I don't even have to deal with that.
That's respectful of you. I'm going to say the
Yeah.
women who watch my channel are going to say, wow, see, and there are lots of trans women like Rachel here who's willing to understand where me too, in the men's room, right? I'm not flat, walking around like just flashing my genitals everywhere. It would
Well,
freak everybody out.
like I used to go to Planet Fitness, and that was my gym of choice. And like for
Mhm,
someone who's as big into fitness as me, that's a funny
mhm.
choice. But that was my go-to because you know what, it was cheap,
Yep,
whatever.
yep,
But I got to the point like I never went in the locker room, and I'm sitting here, I'm like that makes me uneasy. I know that
yeah.
would probably make you uneasy, and that's not a situation I want to put you or me in. And the gym was getting overcrowded. I was looking to move gyms. And one of the gym that I go to now, one of the big advertising pieces for it was individual locker rooms. And I'm like, yo, sign me up. That's my
Wow.
gym.
Right on. No, that's actually really awesome. They do that. I do think it is with all the weird shit that's going on now with dudes who are just saying they're women. Those are the ones who are making me so mad. They're ruining it for all of
Mm-hmm.
us. When a dude
Mm-hmm.
just says I'm a woman and everyone's just like has to be okay with it, that's just weird. And that has nothing to do with trans. But I'm telling you, look at Rachel. She even saying she wants to look like a woman, passes as a woman, has respect. You have full on respect. That's all women are saying, that they would never have a problem. I just don't think any woman would have a problem with you because you're not forcing yourself in that space, and you have
Mm-hmm.
the respect to know that if you take your clothes off it might be uncomfortable for some people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you don't want to do
Yeah.
that. I don't
Like,
think that's not your goal. Your
yeah.
goal isn't make people uncomfortable.
My goal is to live life, and I know certain situations that I get in would make me uncomfortable. If it makes me uncomfortable, it probably is going to make someone else uncomfortable. So I just try and avoid that.
Right. That doesn't mean anything is transphobic. It's like we are coming into the world. It's like how I really just feel like I'm coming into the world this way. And I have to validate myself and I have to be okay with myself. For anyone else to be okay with me, it has to come from you first. And I really do see that in you, Rachel. I see it all coming from you. Your validation is because of you. You're validating. You're not asking for anyone else to validate you at all. I
Yeah.
don't not see that, which is so beautiful. And so I think also because you were saying you struggled a lot with being honest pretty much your whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
today you're not like that. I don't think you are. Are you struggling with that?
No. It honestly came around that same time as my transition, when
Wow.
I started being honest with myself about who I am, what I feel, what I'm going through.
Mhm.
that that compulsive need just went away. That compulsive need to lie to get myself out of anything
Yeah.
disappeared. And
Wow.
now, shoot, it's so far the other direction where I don't think
Yeah.
I could lie to someone if I tried to. um,
Right on.
like, I don't know. It's such a weird thing to go through and to try and verbalize, but that's literally how my story went.
No, it
It's
makes sense to
unique.
me. But I think a lot of people, not just trans, gay, anyone who's out of the
Mm-hmm.
norm of whatever it is in the world, struggles. I think so. So wait, I'm going to go back to when you were a kid. You said you had a great childhood and all of that. But when you were a kid, did you
Yeah.
think of yourself as like you would like to be a girl, or did you, or if that you felt attracted to boys? Were there any struggles in that sense?
Um, I mean, there was. Um, like I remember my grandpa was kind of a rough and tumble farm kid. Like
Mm,
that was his thing. He was that rough and tumble farm guy.
yeah.
And I remember I grew up with a sister and a brother. And when we would go visit grandpa, my brother and I would always be outside helping him on the farm. And I'm talking like 7, 8, 9 years old.
Hmm.
And we're helping him on the farm. And if I complained once, he would always say, if you want to go inside, go put on a dress and cook with the girls. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, that doesn't sound that bad. Like that
I knew you were
honestly
gonna say
sounds amazing.
that.
Um, but
So good.
like 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 growing up, I don't know, I would be out playing football in the yard with my brother, and then the next minute I would be playing Barbies with my sister. Like
Mhm,
I was that
mhm.
middle person, that in between for both of them.
Yeah.
um I did, especially like in like the puberty age, I did have crushes on guys that I went to school with.
Mhm,
I actually even did have a mild, I guess you could call it a mild cross dressing phase that no one ever knew
mhm.
about. And
Wow.
I didn't, in my mind, I didn't know what this was. Like, is this like
Mhm,
some weird like sexual thing, or is this
mhm,
something more? And I never could quite verbalize it in my own head.
mhm.
And then when I came out, I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense.
That's right. But going back to the childhood, and of course,
Mm-hmm.
those sort of statements, I grew up with that nonsense too. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just an old school way of being put on the dress and go cook with the ladies. I just think it's funny. Someone's gonna be
Oh
like,
yeah.
that's misogyny, like, or whatever, right? I'm like, no, it's funny. My dad would have said the same thing to us or them, people around. But tell me what you think about kids now being trans kids. Like, um, do you feel like you were a trans kid, or do you just feel like you were a kid?
I mean, I when I was a kid, I felt gender dysphoria. Like I'd mentioned that before, but I
Hmm.
don't feel like I was a trans kid. You know,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I don't know. I Because I really couldn't emotionally comprehend what that
Hmm.
even meant
That's
when I
right.
was a kid.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Like I lived my life as a kid. Like I hung out with my guy friends, I hung out with my girlfriends, I played football with my brother, I played Barbies with my sister. Like there wasn't any sort of agenda to it. I was just a kid.
Hmm. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Because I'm sure I struggled with dysphoria as a kid.
Hmm.
There's no doubt. I wanted to be a boy. I hung out with the boys. I played boy. I had a boy name. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to label myself as a trans kid, even though I get people adamantly telling me I was a trans kid. But I don't believe that. I believe that I was a kid, maybe like you, who we were just sort of playing, in these spaces and sort of figuring ourselves out. I'm not mad that I didn't transition as a kid. I'll be honest with you. I'm not. I feel happy that I sort of went through puberty and that I
Hmm.
struggled and did all the normal things that kids do. And I experienced a different life. I've been a gay woman. I lived as a lesbian for many years of my life. And I'm really happy that I did. I feel like it gave me these experiences that I never would have had. And nor would they
Yeah.
give me empathy towards other certain kinds of. I think it's a gift to live different lives. I'm not sure. How do you feel like your life would have been better if you transitioned earlier?
So if I would have transitioned earlier, as far as like what would have been better,
Hmm.
honestly, the physical results may have been better. I honestly don't know that.
Sure.
A that's a guess.
That's
But
fine.
other than that, like again, I go back to, if I transitioned early, if I transitioned in my adolescence or even at like 18,
Hmm.
I wouldn't have had any biological children. And for me,
That's
like
right.
that's my sticking point. Like that's where I'm like, I can't regret transitioning when I did, because if I transitioned earlier, I wouldn't have what I have now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I learned a lot in those 28 years, and I had a
Mm.
lot of great experiences. Some of which I'm sure I wouldn't have had if I transitioned earlier, but my big sticking point is them
Right.
kids.
Yeah, and I think it's very important that people hear that. Of course, the struggle's not fun, and all the things that you had to deal with aren't fun.
Hmm.
But here you are today. This woman, Rachel, went through
Yeah,
puberty. You went through male puberty. You look like a lady, just so you know. So, I mean, and honestly, I think it's dangerous not to have kids. Any human, I don't care, any human, they have to go through puberty. It's essential for so many reasons that I think
hmm,
we're misguiding people in this idea that you can pause I just had a guy on who has some kind of rare hormonal thing when he was a kid, and he explained it
hmm.
all to me. They had to give him hormones. If they didn't, all this bad things would have happened to him. And he talked about Lupron, and he really made this point to me that says no way should any kid ever be paused in puberty, ever. It really can be detrimental to the brain growth, body growth, all of it.
I'm
So
sure. I'm sure.
yeah, you show that you can go through male puberty
Hmm.
and come out the other side and become a woman and look fabulous. You just
Yeah.
proved it.
Yeah. And I even know there's from nearby where I grew up, there's a famous gymnast. And this gymnast, a smaller petite girl, was
Yep.
given puberty blockers as a way to keep her tiny, keep her stature tiny, so
Oh.
that it would not like it would help her in
Oh.
competition, right? And you know, watching her throughout the years, now that she's retired from gymnastics and everything of
Yeah.
the sort,
Yeah.
struggled mightily, mightily, mightily to have kids. And that
Wow.
is a biological woman
That's right.
who went through female puberty as she was supposed to, just not when she was supposed to. And even then it caused reproductive issues.
That's right.
So the whole if they decide they're not trans, they can just start later and there won't be any negative side effects. I honestly don't think I can buy that because I've seen it from someone who was on testosterone, or not testosterone blockers, but puberty blockers,
Hmm.
not to override, but to just delay. And I see the issues that it's caused.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, I don't think you need to be hard lined on it. I'm a little hard lined on it, but you don't have to be. I just feel that I am because I've seen so many bad things coming and I've talked to so many people about Lupron, which is what they're giving these young people. And there's no
Hmm.
such thing as pausing puberty. It doesn't pick up and all the things that they should have been happening there. You're just not going to get back, and you just and I actually heard that they did that. I wasn't sure, but you just wow, it's so crazy. I heard that they actually did that. I also heard that they did it with kids in Hollywood to keep them
I would
young
believe
looking from
that. I would believe that.
oh my god, my heart like skipped a beat. I'm like, what? That's so insane and irresponsible and disgusting. And even in gymnastics, it's against. I was a big pretty big athlete as a female. And I remember steroids were a big part of when I was around in the 70s. And women were
Oh
taking
yeah.
steroids, and that was a bad, you would have to get tested and all of the bad things that happened from those women taking steroids, the same kind of things. But this is pausing a child's puberty so that they stay in the gymnastic space and not even worrying about long-term effects to these. Does this person
Right.
speak out about the puberty? Is this gymnast speak out about?
Mm-mm. No.
No,
No,
she doesn't feel
unfortunately
like
not.
that's too bad. She should really, especially now when they're really pushing this stuff on kids and parents. It's sad to me when the things they say to parents is just crazy, you know. But so we're gonna end here soon, and I just want to say that I think your voice is very important in this sort of space where I think that it feels like trans women on some level are dominating the conversation and not necessarily from your point of view. How do you feel about that?
Um, I do think that there's definitely a silent majority when it comes to how certain people are feeling, whether that's a new feeling or not. I do
Hmm.
feel like a larger variety of the trans women, at least that I've talked to, um, are of a very similar mindset to me.
Yeah.
We just get drowned out the the louder minority.
Why? Why do you think that is?
Um, I would say honestly, it's just afraid of the backlash. Honestly,
Mhm. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I was having a trans kid debate with someone yesterday,
Mhm.
and I had
Mhm.
mentioned the whole, I same thing I told you that um for me, like it goes back to the kid argument, and I can't imagine, not having the opportunity to have had biological kids, and I wouldn't have, even thought of that if I
Mhm.
was given the option to transition as early as 12, 13, 14. And the
Mhm.
response I got back from this person was, then just detransition if you have regrets. And
What?
I'm sitting here, I'm like, excuse me, like, A, let's look at this broadly. If I did detransition, hypothetically, that's still not going to fix the problem, is it? Like I
That's
still
right.
can't
But that
after.
makes no sense. But what they said
Yeah.
to you makes 0 sense. You're obviously very happy in your transition. That has nothing to do with it. They are very hard line. If you
Hmm.
have anything that you could say about trans kids and you're not on board, you're a bad person. You're killing
Hmm.
kids. I see it the other way. My old tranny eyes see it the other way. I see kids are being hurt who are being told they're trans when they're not trans. That's why we have a large population of detransitioners who, as you know, our community will not in any way, shape, or form have compassion for. It's their fault.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
my biggest gripe with the community right now, and
Mhm.
I refer
Mhm.
to more as like the new age transgender community, is
Mhm.
that the community is very much we're here, we accept you and we love you no matter what, until you either detransition or disagree on one little thing, and
That's
then
right.
you're dead to me. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, like that's dangerous. Like
Oh.
that's a dangerous mindset. Like,
Oh.
I don't know. If when someone coming out like could be at a very, very mentally fragile state, and you're coddling them, coddling them, coddling them, and then one thing goes wrong and you just
Yeah,
drop
that's
the
right.
baby, like that's dangerous.
Yep.
And we don't think of that. Like we don't even take the time to think about that you literally could be walking someone to the cliff and just.
I know. It's shocking. It actually is because I don't know why it's become that way. We were never like that. We don't have me and you don't have
Yeah.
to agree on really anything. But we can respect each other and have a conversation, and that's always been our community. In the trans community, I'm telling you, we never were like this. And I'm old, and I transitioned a million years ago. We just weren't. We were like really understanding. We come from a different way of being, and that's okay. And we're supposed to just, if
Yeah.
someone falls back, but I want to let you know, Rachel, we didn't have detransitioners before all this. Very few, and they just kind of
Well,
went away.
and like the way I look at it, and this is I don't know, this is how it should be looked at if we have a
Yeah.
detransitioner, a situation like that. Okay, A, good on you for doing what's best for you. But B, what was it? Is it just not for you?
Hmm.
Is it a lack of community support? Was it lack of
Hmm.
medical information? Like
Hmm.
what led to this decision? Like there's so much valuable information that we could learn that we are just blatantly ignoring because we don't want to know.
That's right. Thank you. No, it doesn't make sense to me. It's like they are gold. They're willing to tell us what went wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How can we not thank them for saying these things? And I'm telling you, I've interviewed a lot of detransitioners, and they
Yeah.
almost all have very similar stories. They just should have never been transitioning. They should have
Hmm.
just never, ever, ever been in that space, but they got manipulated through friends and through things and being told just how easy it is to get the harm, or maybe it will fix their anxiety, or, we're playing with fire, people. This isn't like, it's shameful that we've come to this space that if you say you're trans, you're trans. Well, if you say you're an animal, you're an animal. If you say you're black but you're white, like what? There's
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Like
I mean,
it's
wow.
yeah. Yeah.
Kids. This
No
we're talking
words.
about
Words need
kids.
not said.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about kids, Rachel. I don't care what anybody says about adults. You know that. Like, cut your arms and legs off and be a beach ball and bounce down the street for the rest of your life. Nobody actually cares. But, dude, I mean, I say dude as, my thing. But that
Of
being said,
course.
I can't handle the fact that we're doing this with just like nonchalant kids. Kids know who they are. They know who they are at 2. Do you know that they're saying 2-year-olds are trans?
Like
No.
I can't. Like I
No, I
can't.
can't either. I can't. I can't. I won't. I won't. And it's stressful for
My
me as an old tranny. I'm just
I
like, wait a
was
minute here.
I was I was at home for a family reunion this last weekend, and my um, pushing 2-year-old nephew got in my makeup. So I guess that means he's in the club, right?
Oh my God. That's what I'm talking about. Are you kidding? Do you know how many people tell me when I was a kid, I did X, Y, and Z? Now I'm a happily married woman with kids and I love my, or dudes say the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to wear a dress when I was a kid and now I'm a macho dude who loves my, it's pathetic that we are
Mm-hmm.
acting like trans is just clothing or just this sort of, way, like it's so direct. And I feel on some level it is attack on gay people, because what if these kids are gay? What if they're just a butch gay les, or
Yeah.
a feminine man who not even gay, maybe they're just a butch woman who, both my sisters are massively butch, like they're both straight, they're both totally straight, and so they're just like total dudes, but they're straight girls. So it's not true. This anyway. We could talk about it forever, but it
Yeah.
frustrates me, and I really want to thank you, Rachel, for stepping up and speaking out. And I watch you, and everyone follow Rachel on that. Is that your
It
Instagram?
is.
Yeah,
It is.
please follow Rachel. She's really lovely, and I really do think voices like yours are very important in this sort of, I hate to say fight, but for back to reality on some level. Is there something you would like to say maybe to people out there?
What do I want to tell people? Yes, like honestly, I love my transition. I couldn't be happier with where I'm at. It completely redefined my life. And if honestly, if y'all are ever looking for, just an ear to talk to, don't feel free to drop a line at my Instagram. Easiest way to get a hold of me,
Excellent.
and I'm here for you.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's community, friend. You're beautiful. And that's how community works. You're willing to put yourself out there and mentor or help or just talk to people. That's all. Maybe someone who is maybe a woman who's losing her husband who's becoming trans. Maybe somebody like
Mm-hmm.
that would benefit from the conversation, because you now have a relationship with your ex where I don't
Yeah.
necessarily see that all the time. I'm sure you know that. And it's difficult on both sides, but you mended that relationship, which says again a lot about you. I think you have a great soul.
Well,
So
thank you.
so thanks, Rachel, and everybody. Send Rachel lots of love. Follow her on Instagram, and in the comments, put the love, because it really helps. It helps Rachel know that she is loved, and I think it's important in this day and age where trans people are transsexuals are getting so much hate, even from the trans community. So with that, like, subscribe. Please, tell everybody about the channel. It really helps me a lot, and bringing these beautiful guests on. And so I'll see you all on the live next week. And thanks, Rachel.